so this is that deep dive you requested.
Yeah.
All about Narendra Modi and his third term as Prime Minister of India.
Right.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
A third consecutive term that's
It really is.
a pretty powerful statement of confidence from the Indian people, right?
I think so, yeah.
And he's not exactly known for resting on his laurels, is he?
I don't think anyone would accuse him of that, no.
Since June 2024, it's just been this whirlwind of activity.
Yeah, it's been nonstop, hasn't it?
It's almost like watching a really carefully orchestrated symphony of initiatives and projects.
Yeah.
Each one seems to play like a really specific role
Right.
in this grand vision he has for India's future.
It's all very strategic.
So when you look at everything that's happened since June 2024,
Sure.
what stands out to you as like the most significant development?
Well, for me, it's the sheer scale of his ambition.
Okay.
Like, take the Vadhavan Port project, for example.
Okay, yeah, I was reading about that.
It's not just about boosting trade and, economic growth. It's like a strategic move to position India as a major player on the world stage.
So this deep water port,
Yeah,
capable of handling those massive cargo ships.
exactly.
It's like he's building a gateway to the world right there on the coast of Maharashtra.
Uh-huh. It's really something.
And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how does this massive port project connect to the other things he's been doing,
Yeah.
like strengthening ties with countries like Poland?
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Remember that Modi's visit to Poland in August
Yeah.
was the first by an Indian prime minister in 45 years.
Oh,
And the fact that they signed this strategic partnership
right.
covering everything from security cooperation to technology transfer,
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks volumes about Modi's determination to build a network of global alliances.
It's like he's weaving a tapestry, thread by thread,
Yeah.
connecting these economic initiatives
Yeah.
with these strategic partnerships.
Exactly.
It's pretty impressive.
I think so.
But why Poland?
Right.
What makes him such a valuable partner for India?
Well, geographically, Poland offers India a gateway to the European market.
Okay.
But beyond that, I think both countries share a common interest
Okay.
in countering China's growing influence, and the agreement on counterterrorism efforts
Yeah.
also points to this shared concern about regional stability,
Right.
particularly in the context of,
Yeah.
Afghanistan.
So it's like a multi-layered partnership
Yes.
with both economic and geopolitical implications.
I think that's a good way to put it.
But I have to ask, with all of these grand ambitions and global power plays,
Yeah.
is Modi neglecting the needs of his own people?
Right.
There's been some criticism about that, hasn't there?
There have, yeah.
Some critics argue that his focus on economic growth comes at the expense of social welfare programs.
Yeah.
And they point to issues like poverty and inequality, which persist, despite India's impressive economic strides. It's definitely a balancing act.
It's that age-old debate,
Right.
trying to balance the needs of the present with the aspirations for the future,
Yeah. And that's really complex.
especially in a country as vast and diverse as India.
Right.
Take Modi's push for technological advancement, for example. The whole Digital India 2.0 thing
Yeah.
aims to digitize government services
Right.
and make them more accessible to citizens.
It sounds great on paper.
On the surface, it sounds fantastic, cutting red tape, making things more efficient.
Right.
But will it truly benefit everyone?
Well, that's the question.
India still has this significant digital divide,
Yeah.
with millions lacking access to technology and the skills to use it effectively.
Right.
If that divide isn't addressed,
Yeah.
the benefits of Digital India 2.0 could be unevenly distributed.
That's the concern.
So it's not just about rolling out these new technologies, it's about ensuring equitable access
Yeah.
and providing the necessary support and training.
Right.
Otherwise, you risk exacerbating existing inequalities.
Exactly.
And this brings us to another point of contention.
Okay.
Modi's emphasis on Hindu nationalism. Some critics argue that his policies
Yeah.
have marginalized minority groups,
Right.
particularly Muslims.
It's a serious accusation.
It is, and it's one that deserves careful consideration.
Right. Yeah.
How do you see this playing out
Okay.
in the context of his third term?
Well, it's a complex issue.
Yeah.
It's important to avoid simplistic narratives.
Sure.
What's clear is that Modi's vision for India is deeply rooted in his belief in Hindu cultural heritage.
Right.
But the question is,
Yeah.
can he truly unify a country as diverse as India?
Right.
while simultaneously prioritizing one religious identity over others.
It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
On the one hand, he's trying to build this modern India that's a global powerhouse. But on the other hand, there's this strong emphasis on tradition and a particular cultural identity.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
And that tension, that balancing act, is what makes his third term so fascinating to observe.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But I feel like we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to unpack about Modi's vision for India.
There is.
And its implications for the world.
Right.
And that's what we'll delve into next.
Yeah, we'll explore his leadership style.
Okay.
And his critics.
Right.
And the potential challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for India on its path to becoming a global superpower.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
You know, it's interesting how Modi's vision for India seems to be this blend of tradition and modernity.
Right.
It's like he's invoking this deep sense of cultural heritage, but at the same time pushing for these cutting-edge technological advancements.
That's right.
Do you think those two things are even compatible?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can India embrace the future without, losing sight of its past?
Right.
It's a challenge a lot of nations grapple with, I think.
Yeah, especially those experiencing rapid modernization.
Exactly.
And it's not just a philosophical question either.
Yeah.
It has real-world implications for how India positions itself on the global stage.
Absolutely.
Like we were talking about his diplomatic efforts earlier, the strategic partnerships, the emphasis on regional cooperation.
Yeah.
What's the underlying strategy there?
Well, I think it's about asserting India's interests in a multipolar world.
So for decades, India was seen as this non-aligned nation, hesitant to take sides in these global power struggles.
Right.
But under Modi, we're seeing a real shift.
Yes,
He's forging alliances, building economic leverage, and making it very clear that India intends to be a major player in shaping the 21st century.
A force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and that's not without its risks, is it?
Oh, of course not.
Stepping onto the world stage like that means having to navigate all these complex geopolitical dynamics, potential conflicts, competing interests.
Right.
It's a high-stakes game.
Absolutely. And it requires a deft hand, a clear-eyed understanding of the global landscape, a willingness to make tough decisions.
Speaking of tough decisions,
you
mentioned earlier that some critics are concerned about Modi's leadership style.
Right.
They see him as autocratic, even authoritarian.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
It's true that Modi has consolidated power within his party and within the government. He's a very charismatic leader with a strong vision.
Right.
And he's not afraid to exercise his authority.
Well, India is still a vibrant democracy, right?
That's important to remember.
With a free press and an independent judiciary.
Right. It's not a dictatorship.
So it's a balancing act, maintaining those democratic institutions,
Yeah.
but also providing strong, decisive leadership.
Right.
And it's a balance that's constantly being tested.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in a country as diverse and complex as India.
Yeah.
Where all those regional differences, religious tensions, economic disparities are always simmering beneath the surface.
It's a lot to manage.
It's like juggling a dozen flaming torches while riding a unicycle on a tightrope.
That's a pretty vivid image.
One misstep and it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
And speaking of juggling challenges, let's talk about the economic front.
Right.
Modi has set some pretty ambitious targets.
He has.
For growth and development. He talks about making India a $10 trillion economy.
Yeah.
A global manufacturing hub, a leader in innovation and technology.
It's a bold vision.
It is.
But as we talked about earlier, achieving those goals is going to require overcoming some significant hurdles.
Like what?
Well, the digital divide, for one.
Right.
The lack of infrastructure in certain areas. And let's not forget the bureaucratic red tape.
Yeah. That could really slow things down.
It could definitely be a drag on progress.
So it's not just about having this plan on paper.
No, it's not.
It's about translating that plan into action on the ground.
Absolutely.
And that requires political will, bureaucratic efficiency, community engagement.
It's a team effort.
And it also requires addressing the underlying social and economic factors that contribute to environmental degradation.
Things like poverty, population growth, unsustainable consumption pattern.
It's a very complex web of interconnected challenges.
It is.
But it's also an opportunity to reimagine India's relationship with nature, to create a more sustainable and resilient future.
I like that, reimagine India's relationship with nature.
So what are the potential upsides of Modi's vision for India?
Well, if he succeeds, I think we could see a transformation not just of India, but of the global order.
Okay.
Imagine an India that's a technological powerhouse.
Okay.
A leader in renewable energy, a champion of free trade.
Yeah.
A voice for developing nations on the world stage.
It's a pretty exciting prospect, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
A rising India that's a force for good in the world.
That's the hope.
But it all hinges on Modi's ability to navigate these complex challenges and make the right choices.
And that's what makes his third term so pivotal.
It really does.
The decisions he makes now will have far-reaching consequences, not just for India, but for the whole world.
It's a lot of pressure for one man to bear.
It is.
I wonder how he handles it all.
Yeah.
What kind of leader is he behind the scenes?
That's the question that has fascinated people for years.
It has.
I mean, he's known for his work ethic, his attention to detail, and his ability to connect with people on an emotional level.
Yeah, you have this image of him as this strong, even austere leader, but then you hear these stories about his personal charisma. His ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
He can be very charming.
And that duality is part of what makes him so effective.
I think so.
He can appeal to both the heart and the mind, to both traditional values and modern aspirations.
It's a potent combination.
But how sustainable is that kind of leadership in the long run? Can one person, even someone as driven and charismatic as Modi, truly transform a nation as vast and complex as India?
Well, that's the fundamental question, isn't it?
It is.
Can Modi's vision outlive his tenure in office? Will the institutions and systems he's put in place continue to function effectively?
Once he's gone,
that's the test.
It's like building a house.
Okay.
You can have the brilliant architect, the finest materials, but if the foundation is weak, the structure will eventually crumble.
A perfect analogy.
And that's why it's so crucial to look beyond the personality of Modi and examine the underlying trends shaping India today.
Things like
the demographic shifts,
the economic forces,
the social and cultural changes.
All of those factors.
Those are the things that will ultimately determine India's trajectory.
I agree.
So it's not just about Modi. It's about India itself.
It's about the people.
It's about the aspirations of over 1 billion people. Their hopes for a better future. Their willingness to embrace change while still holding on to their traditions.
That's the heart of it.
And that's what makes India such a fascinating and dynamic place.
It really is.
It's a country in constant flux, where the past and the future are colliding, where tradition and modernity are intertwined.
It's a unique blend.
And Modi is right at the center of that collision.
He's trying to navigate.
Trying to steer India towards a new destiny.
And the whole world is watching.
They are wondering what that destiny will be.
Will India become the global superpower that Modi envisions?
Will it be a force for stability and prosperity in the region?
Or will it succumb to the same challenges and conflicts that have plagued other rising powers?
These are questions that we can't answer definitively today.
Not yet.
But by exploring the complexities of Modi's vision, by understanding the forces at play in India and on the global stage, we can at least begin to grapple with these really crucial questions.
And that's the value of a deep dive like this.
It is.
It's not about providing easy answers or definitive predictions.
It's about equipping ourselves with the knowledge and the tools
to think critically,
to engage in informed debate,
and to navigate the complexities of the world around us.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you,
of course,
our listener, for joining us on this fascinating journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We're to the world of Narendra Modi and the future of India.
Absolutely.
We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
I hope so.
And as always, the journey of discovery continues.
It does.
And we encourage you to keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep questioning.
Keep learning.
And keep engaging with the world around you.
Absolutely.
Who knows what fascinating insights await us just around the corner.
There's always something new to discover.
Okay, so we've talked about Modi's vision, his strategies, all the challenges and opportunities facing India.
Right.
But what about the man himself?
Yeah.
What drives him?
That's a good question.
What are his core beliefs? And how do they shape his leadership?
It's something that people have been trying to figure out for years.
Yeah.
He's a complex figure, you know?
Yeah.
A man of contradiction.
Okay.
On the one hand, he's deeply spiritual,
right,
rooted in Hindu philosophy and traditions. But then on the other hand, he's also a pragmatist.
Okay.
A shrewd politician.
Yeah.
Who really understands the levers of power.
So you have this image of him as this
strong, even austere leader.
Yeah.
But then you hear these stories about his personal charisma, his ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
He can be very charming when he wants to be.
And that duality is part of what makes him so effective.
I think so.
He can appeal to both the heart and the mind.
Right.
To both traditional values and those modern aspirations.
It's a powerful combination.
But how sustainable is that kind of leadership in the long run?
That's a tough question.
Can one person, even someone as driven and charismatic as Modi, truly transform a nation as vast and complex as India?
I mean, that's really the fundamental question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can Modi's vision outlive his time in office?
Right. Will the institutions he's putting in place
will those systems
continue to function effectively once he's gone?
It's kind of like building a house.
Yeah.
You know, you can have the most brilliant architects, the finest materials.
Yeah.
But if the foundation is weak,
the structure will eventually crumble.
That's a good analogy.
And that's why I think it's so important to look beyond just the personality of Modi and examine all the underlying trends.
A bigger picture.
That are shaping India today.
Right, all those demographic shifts.
The economic forces.
The social and cultural changes.
All those things are ultimately going to determine India's trajectory.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about Modi.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about India itself.
It's about the people.
It's about the aspirations of over 1 billion people.
Their hopes and dreams.
Their hopes for a better future, their willingness to embrace change while still holding on to their traditions.
I think that's a key point.
It's what makes India such a fascinating and dynamic country.
It really is.
It's a country in constant flux, you know?
Yeah, always changing.
Where the past and the future are colliding, where tradition and modernity are kind of intertwined.
It's a unique mix.
And Modi is right at the center of all of that.
He is trying to navigate all of it.
Yeah, trying to steer India toward this new destiny.
And the whole world is watching.
They are wondering what that destiny will be.
Right. Will India become that global superpower that Modi envisions?
Will it be a force for stability and prosperity in the region?
Or will it be, will it succumb to the same challenges that other rising powers have faced?
Yeah, it's tough to say.
Yeah, it's impossible to predict the future.
These are all questions that we can't really answer definitively today.
Not with any certainty.
But I think by exploring the complexities of Modi's vision, by understanding all the forces at play in India and on the global stage, we can at least start to grapple with these really crucial questions.
And that's what makes a deep dive like this so valuable.
It is.
It's not about having all the answers or making perfect predictions.
It's about giving ourselves the knowledge
to think critically,
to have these informed discussions,
and to navigate this complex world that we live in. It's about understanding the nuances.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Our listener, for joining us on this fascinating journey.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the world of Narendra Modi and the future of India.
Absolutely.
We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
I hope so.
And as always, the journey of discovery continues.
It does.
And we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep learning.
Keep engaging with the world around you.
Yeah, stay curious.
Who knows what fascinating insights await us just around the corner.
There's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today. But we'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic that's shaping our world.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.
Take care.